What's going on, YouTube? Mr. Wheels here once again, bringing you another episode of Sports Talk. And the topic tonight, a recap of the NFL Divisional Playoff Weekend. I'm going to start with the NFC games, starting with the Saints and the Seahawks. Drew Brees was 24 for 43 with 104 passing yards, and Marquise Colston, I think that's how you say his name, had 144 yards on only 11 receptions, but it wasn't enough because the Saints were shut out through 3 quarters of play, and they scored all 15 of their points in the fourth quarter. And basically for the Seahawks, Russell Wilson threw 50%, 9 of 18, with 103 passing yards, and Marshawn Lynch basically just took over from there. He did the rest, 28 carries, 140 yards rushing with 2 touchdowns, and the final score there was 23-15. And I think if the Seahawks are going to win next week in the NFC Championship game versus the Niners, Russell Wilson is going to have to get more of his receivers involved. I'm talking about Golden Tate, Percy Harvin, just to name a few. And obviously Marshawn Lynch is going to have to do the same thing he did in this game, just be a monster on the ground. But that was the case for the Seahawks-Saints game. Seahawks are moving on. Now over to the Panthers and 49ers game. The Niners were successful in this game mainly because the 49ers offense was much more consistent, but Cam Newton went 16 of 25 for 267 passing yards and rushed for 54 yards on only 10 carries with 1 touchdown. And Ted Gwynn Jr. had 104 yards receiving on only 4 receptions. But it didn't matter because the Panthers only scored 10 points in the second quarter and were shut out the rest of the way. And like I said, the 49ers offense was much more consistent, scoring at least some points in all 4 quarters. And Colin Kaepernick led the way both with his arm and his legs like usual. The Panthers were not able to shut him down in this game. Kaepernick was 15 for 28 with 196 passing yards with 1 TD, and also rushed for 15 yards and got another TD on the ground. And Frank Gore was solid with 84 yards rushing. But like the Seahawks, going into next week's game, I think the 49ers need to get their receivers more involved. If Antoine Bolden, Vernon Davis, and Michael Crabtree all have spectacular games next week, combined with what Colin Kaepernick and Frank Gore did in this game over the weekend, then the 49ers, have a decent shot of winning the NFC. But only time will tell, and I think whoever has a better passing game or more offense through the air might come in on top of me in the NFC. Let's move over to the AFC story now. First of all, the Pats and the Colts. Andrew Luck by my estimation, he had a decent game. He was just under 50% passing with 20 for 41 with 331 yards through the air, and he averaged 16.6 yards per pass, and Donald Brown had 63 yards rushing, and Ty Hilton had another 103 yards receiving on only 4 catches. But the reason I say Andrew Luck was unlucky was because, and mainly not just Andrew Luck, but the Colts in general, was because, after generating that much offense, anytime your quarterback throws for over 300 yards passing and you only score 22 points, I mean, that's a big deal. And, I think for any other team, or maybe in any other game, the Colts would have came in on top. But the main turning point that I saw in this game was early in the third quarter. The Colts forced the Pats into a early 3-and-out, and then they got the ball back right away, and they were unable to get into the end zone, and they settled for a field goal. And from that point on, Garrett Blount, I believe that's how you say his name, or it's Blunt, so I believe it's Blount. Anyway, Blount for the Patriots basically took over from that point. He had a 73-yard run that he converted for a touchdown. He had 4 of the 6 rushing TDs for the Patriots, and the Colts were unable to contain the ground game of the Patriots. Tom Brady was up to his usual self, going 13 for 25, and he had 198 passing yards. And again, I would look for, if the Patriots can duplicate what they did next week, or what they did in this game on the ground in next week's game, then they should have a pretty good chance of beating the Broncos. But Tom Brady, I think, needs to have more touchdowns passing wise, and the Patriots should be all right. They won this game pretty easily, 43-22. And moving over to the last game, the second game in the AFC, the Broncos versus the Chargers. To me, the Chargers offense was just too little, too late. They scored all 17 of their points in the fourth quarter. They were shut out the rest of the way. That seems to be a theme in like 3 out of the 4 games over the weekend. Phillip Rivers was 18 for 27 with 217 yards with 2 TDs. And is it Keegan Allen? I'm not sure. I probably said his name wrong, but he had 6 receptions and 142 yards receiving, and also 2 TDs. But it didn't really matter. I don't think the Chargers had their offense going consistently enough, and there was a significant amount of time in the second half where they didn't have the ball. And Peyton Manning, what can I say? On the flip side, Peyton Manning was up to his usual self. He broke the single season TD record with 60 TDs for the season. 2 of them coming in this game. He was 25 for 36 with 230 yards passing, and is it Noshawn Marino? I believe that's how you say his name. Had 82 yards rushing, and he had a couple TDs. But again, as I've said before, for other teams and other games over the weekend, I think the Broncos need to get the receivers more involved, as well as have a strong rushing game if they're gonna win in the AFC Championship game. And bottom line, it's going to be the NFC and AFC Championship games are going to be awesome. I will have another video recapping those scores for next week as we move closer to the Super Bowl. So please like and subscribe to this video. Follow me on Facebook and or follow me on Twitter and like me on Facebook. I will see you next time.